Hello guys. This is Pinkie, the housewife, and I'm coming to you with a new video. First of all, before I get started, let me just say, I know my voice is low. I have laryngitis, okay? And pneumonia. So if you can't hear me, this is the loudest I can talk right now. So just turn your volume up on your phone or your computer or your laptop so you can hear me better. But this is Pinkie, the housewife. And let me just say, everything is alleged. This is my opinion only. And this video is made for educational but entertainment purposes as well. Now let's get started with the matter at hand. I'm coming to you with a new video, okay? This is what I call the rise and fall of Tiffany Henyard. She's the mayor. She's the super mayor, the super mayor of Dolton. Okay? I call her the super mayor. Okay? She's the super mayor of Dolton. Okay? And she is also the supervisor of Thornton Township. Okay? She got two big jobs. Supervisor of Thornton Township supervisor of Thornton Township and super mayor of Dolton. Okay? But this is what I call the rise and fall of the super mayor. The power, the corruption, the misconduct, and the fall from grace. She was once, I guess, considered a rising star, hopeful. They was hopeful, okay? 'Cause she was young, energetic. Well, she's still young and energetic, and everybody was hopeful. But amidst all the allegations and everything, I just let you all see it for yourself. Now, this video that I'm going to be bringing to you is courtesy of NBC Chicago. Okay. Now, is the cause of chaos in Dolton. And this information will be down in my description box below my video. So, as I said, we're going to go ahead and watch this video. Guys, yes, I don't know what to say about her. I guess some people may say, give her a chance. I don't know about giving her a chance, but we're getting ready to all see it, okay? I'll just let you all see it for yourself, whether we should give the super mayor and the supervisor a chance. But I think her chance ran out. She got kicked out to the door, to the left. Okay, here we go, guys. I'm going to go ahead and play it for you.
I state your name. Tiffany Aisha Henyard.
I thought that she is the girl. She can change this thing.
She had a vision that was, it was just of hope.
I thought, yeah, it's great to have a young person, and she's real energetic, and her song and dance is really catchy. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. And so many other people felt the same way.
And it was something different, something new, something that can give the community hope. I thought that she was the best thing that can happen for Dolton.
And that's a good thing. It turned out to be a bad thing right away.
A new twist in the political drama in South suburban Dalton.
We want better in our community.
Ask them questions, they don't answer.
Too much stuff is happening in Dolton.
but this is what it's come to for us.
You need to go. You don't protect us. Unasked, that's it.
You, on people's tax dollars, you want to stand here and keep attacking people?
Their complete refusal to even consider letting us in on the numbers, what was being spent, who were they being spent with.
All of the lawsuits against Tiffany Henyard.
You had lawsuits, subpoenas.
My last memory was me waking up in his room.
Did he sexually assault that woman? Did he drug her?
I mean, you gonna answer, and you gonna answer me.
Hey, out of order, you out of order, you out of order. Hey.
This administration, you go to jail.
Even though they turned the mics off, we will continue working on behalf of the residents of Dolton.
Lori will get answers.
And the FBI know. They know everything you're doing.
She really felt that she was invincible.
If you want to have a little cat fight, we can handle this back there.
So if you could just give us an amount, I think that would help with our discussion and making a decision.
We don't have a problem with giving you an amount, but this is why sometimes people have to follow the leader, because sometimes the leader is the visionary. It is what it is. Quiet. It is what it is. Quiet. The leader is the visionary. Right. Sometimes people can't see down the tunnel. So sometimes this is why people follow people. So I'm just throwing that out there because everybody got an opinion. Just said I can't see.
Thank you, man. Just get a look.
Right. So all I do is just try to tell you what the vision would possibly be.
Not the typical way an elected official, especially a mayor, would run a meeting, but this is the way the government is run by Tiffany Henyard. I've been a reporter for more than 15 years. But for the past year, I focused a lot of my attention on the small community of Dolton. Dolton, Illinois is located about 20 miles outside of the heart of Chicago. Population, according to the last census, about 22,000. 90% of the people who live there are African American. So even before covering Dolton as a reporter, I knew a lot about this community because I grew up in the nearby community, the community of Harvey. So when I think about Dolton, I think about Harvey and growing up there. And I think about my parents and what brought them to the south suburbs. It was opportunity. It was jobs. They moved from the city's south side and they said, this is the place we're going to raise our kids. It's safe here and it was affordable. They could afford to buy a house. And I think that was or is the draw for a lot of African Americans who want to leave the city and head to the suburbs. How many years have you lived here?
35 years.
34 years as a resident of Dolton.
25. It's been a good 25-year run?
Yeah, for the most part, up until maybe the last couple of years.
What brought you to Dolton?
A combination of things. We had just gotten married. My wife and I just got married. We were looking for a house. This house kind of spoke to my wife, Camille. She really loved it. When we first moved here, we used to be able to walk all around here and ride our bicycles on the, over by the schools and the parks and whatnot.
Dolton was really nice. It was still clean, a nice, safe area at the time when I moved there.
But here's the problem with Dolton and some of the neighboring communities around it. They're underserved and there are a lack of jobs and a lack of industry. So you have a lot of people moving these communities for safety and for these resources that just aren't there.
Somehow some bullets did find their way into our house. Not in, but around our house.
Your house was shot up?
Yeah, that's the bullets were up there. That bullet told us that was from the dope dealers, I'm pretty sure. My wife, she heard it. I was asleep.
But yet you stayed.
Yeah, I'm not running.
You're proud of your house. It's a very lovely home. You're proud of this place?
Yeah. I mean, I grew up in the projects. I grew up in Robert Taylor homes. So this is utopia for me.
Dolton has been in the news a lot lately, but I want to take you back to 2021.
Hi, I am Tiffany Henyard, and I am running for mayor of Dolton.
She was a Dolton trustee. She grew up in the area, went to Thornridge High School. People thought she was the change this community needed.
She wanted to bring back unity in the community. So she wanted to make sure that she bridged the gap. She did a lot of knocking on doors, did a lot of trying to, talk to people, making those connections with people, just trying to make sure that she is the people's mayor. She did that.
She even went around to residents who had some issues with her. And, I know a couple of people who were like, I don't know. But she, assured people that she would work with her team.
I figured some young people needed to get in there and get their feet wet with the politics of everything.
But as a trustee, she butted heads a lot with the administration.
They're not on the agenda. We're going to go forward. We're going to go forward with today's agenda.
But I'm asking you that so that I have clarity for next time when I have agenda item.
And she would bait the last mayor into an argument. Then they would go back and forth, and she would just blow stuff out of proportion.
I was asking
Next thing
attorney
on the
why wasn't
agenda-
my items on the agenda.
Next
So I'll
thing
have
on the
that
agenda
issue
is
later.
citizens' address.
So whether you were Team Tiffany or not, pretty much everyone can agree that she was something different for this community.
She gave us hope and belief that she was the person that was going to come in and basically help Dolton. And we believed it. We really sold into her vision.
At the time, I think she believed in her vision. I mean, because when she was breaking down what she wanted to do, she showed me this big calendar of events that she wanted to give back. She wanted to give away gas to residents, all of that. So I was under the impression like, okay, I think this young girl is onto something. She had a lot of energy, I tell you that.
And I wanted to make sure that the vision that she had come to fruition because Dolton deserved it. That's one thing we deserved.
She put together what she called her dream team. Now, on this team, you have trustee Jason House, trustee Kiana Belcher, and the village clerk, Allison Key. All these people are on the same ticket. So they all believed in Tiffany and what she wanted to accomplish.
We had tremendous hope. The fight for people was what was being sold. And you see that level of energy and passion, and you think, okay, this person has to be for the community.
I believed in this person. I ran on her ticket. She lets everybody know. I was personally reluctant to do it, but I wanted to see our community get better. So I agreed to run on this ticket because I knew Jason, I knew Kiana. These were great people. And I said, if they're on this team, then I can get on this team.
So she wins the Democratic nomination. Fast forward to April 2021, she becomes elected mayor of the village of Dolton. She's the youngest mayor at the age of 37. She's also the first Black female mayor.
Once she became the people's mayor, she didn't do what she promised.
After I went to a few meetings, I saw, boy, did we ever screw up.
So a lot of people accuse Tiffany of misusing village funds, and it really started the day she was sworn into office.
Good evening. Good evening and welcome to the swearing in of the Honorable Tiffany Henyard, the first female and the youngest mayor of Dolton.
The village paid for it, up to $20,000.
Dolton is not Chicago. This is a small community. Was this a needed expense?
And I will faithfully discharge
The duties of the office
the duties of the office
of mayor.
of mayor.
The minute the inauguration took place, it was obvious that ordinances were not going to be followed. And then the bills started coming in at the very first meetings. And they were like, well, you're not allowed to spend this, and nobody has approved this.
As you go down Sibley and you see those banners plastered all down Sibley, and we haven't even paid for them. Who in their right mind? If you go to other towns, you might see billboards and banners, but it's of heroes and things like that in the village. It's not everywhere you go, you see the mayor. It doesn't matter where you go. Her picture is plastered all over the village of Dolton. That's outrageous. And that's money being spent recklessly. Once again, we're paying for that.
Jason House and I had a conversation once, and Jason's remark was, well, I talked to her, let's give her a chance.
I,
State your name.
Jason House,
Having been duly elected to the office of trustee.
having been duly elected to the office of trustee,
I was on that ticket. I was asked many times to run for mayor, but at that time I elected against running for mayor. My decision of who I supported for mayor, I greatly regret.
and I'm here to give my support and endorsement for trustee Tiffany Henyard.
I bought into it hook, line, and sinker 100%. I thought that, okay, well, if you're saying talk to your board, work with your board, we're going to make sure all of this happens. And to see that it was live.
We were all very excited. So we were thinking that this is going to be the youngest board in the history of Dolton to make great changes. And we were excited. And then we realized that she had other things in mind.
What happened though? What was that pivotal moment?
When we went as trustees, when we went to add items to the agenda, and they completely ignored us and didn't add our items to the agenda. And when we asked why they wouldn't add them, they just ignored us and wouldn't provide us with any explanation.
Why my minutes are not being put on this agenda to be approved, I do not understand.
We have a new clerk for the Village of Dolton, Miss Allison Key.
I've been a clerk for the past 3.5 years.
Describe those 3.5 years under this current administration. What's it been like for you?
Well, coming out the gate, I saw issues. And I tried to address them with the mayor, but she wasn't having it. And then those issues began to continue to progress.
Clerk, what are you doing? You're out of order. You out of order. Did I call the roll? Did I say call the roll? I'm still speaking. You're out of order, Clerk Key. You out of order, Clerk Key. Like, stop. Y'all out of order. Everybody want to run stuff. Y'all don't run this house over here. Stop, please.
So when the mayor is constantly harassing me, I look at her as a small child. And why would I, as an adult, a senior citizen, why would I argue with a child? I too try to make points to understand, not just let her control the whole narrative, but I am not going to argue with a child. I raised 3 children. I have grandchildren. I don't argue.
But if being mayor of Dolton wasn't enough, Tiffany also gets appointed supervisor of Thornton Township, which is the largest township in the state of Illinois. And it's legal. In fact, that's where her self-proclaimed title of super mayor comes from. Supervisor and then mayor. Super mayor.
I can't stand when she says that. I really want her to look in the mirror and look at herself and ask her, is that the face of a super mayor?
As mayor, she's in charge of all things Dolton. As township supervisor, she represents 17 different communities that make up Thornton Township.
One person is getting away with doing crazy stuff to an entire community and then now an entire township.
I originally started on to work for her as her publicist. And then the young lady who was her chief of staff quit. And then she offered me the position as chief of staff. So, I made sure that, all of her events were in order. Her messaging was consistent, things of that sort. So chief of staff essentially is nothing more than a publicist for the mayor.
So why'd you leave? What happened?
So my father-in-law became gravely ill, and I had to travel on weekends to go see him in Michigan. I'm under a lot of pressure, and my health was starting to take a toll, so much so I had a heart attack. We went to do bingo at one of the senior buildings on Good Friday in Dolton. My blood pressure, I asked one of the nurses to check. It was insane. I called, I said, I have to go to the hospital. Went to the hospital, confirmed I had a heart attack.
You had a heart attack at one of her events on Good Friday.
Yes. Yeah.
You call your boss, Tiffany Henyard, you tell her this.
Mm-hmm. She didn't answer the phone. I ended up having to tell her security detail that I had to go to the hospital. I come back, it was maybe 2 days later. We have a meeting, and she said in front of this meeting with several people that that's not an excuse to call off of work. Next time, take my blood pressure medicine.
All of the trustees have their pictures up inside Village Hall. You can see them, except for one. And the reason being is Tiffany Henyard had her picture removed.
We have the Honorable Trustee-elect, Kiana Boucher.
During this administration as a trustee, because this is my first term, no, you're not being respected and you're not able to do your job. So my picture is not on the wall because I put her on blast. And when we came back from over the holiday, I'm sitting in the board meeting, look up, and I'm like, oh, our picture's not on the wall. I asked about the picture. Nobody seems to know what it is. I waited a couple of days, asked the employee, and the employee's like, oh, yeah, they took it down. And every time she walked past, she kick at it. Disrespect? Absolutely. But as long as I'm an elected official, I should have my picture on the wall like everyone else. So now I bring my picture to the board meeting and sit it on my podium and let people know I'm still here. But she's mayor. And she's a petty mayor.
She has that statement that she constantly makes.
And most of y'all wouldn't even be a trustee if it wasn't for me backing you.
No, the people put those trustees there.
She asked them to run on her ticket because she knew that the community loved Jason House. They loved Allison Key. They liked Kiana, and they were all go-getters. And they did better in the polls than she did.
There were people, you'd go to their doors and they would say, I'm not voting for her. I'll vote for you. Yeah. But I'm not voting for her.
She would not have gotten as far as she did had they not supported her, because the people like that tick. They like those people.
Well, let's just start from the beginning. We were locked out of Village Hall.
You don't have keys to the Village Hall?
No, we do not. We've never had keys. The clerk had keys and then they changed the locks.
And the mailboxes were moved outside so they could not come inside.
Most of the time, they don't even give us most of the mail until after the fact, but the mailbox is outside. So it's a sense of entitlement. It's like the mayor is holding the Village Hall as her house.
She got inaugurated, and then she had her first board meeting. And her very first board meeting, after they said the Pledge of Allegiance, the first thing out of Tiffany's mouth is, we're going to do things a little different. So she changed citizens' address to public comment.
You come up, you say your concern or whatever your question is, it will go to the appropriate department head. That department head will handle it, and they will respond in writing through email.
So with citizens' address, you speak and you ask questions and you get answers. And actually, citizens' address will come after the actual meeting, voting and all that. So if people had questions about things that they heard or wanted to talk about during the meeting, that will be the time. She changed it from citizens' address to public comment, and public comment is a little different. You just make a statement and no questions are answered, no back and forth or any of that.
There's been no work done. You haven't been over on our block. The street is split. There's water. People had floods in their basements, coming in their backyard, into their house. You've done nothing. You don't care about nobody but yourself.
And they do it at the beginning of the meeting now, so she can get it over with. And then people, have to listen to her speeches and all of that good stuff. So what she does during public comment is she'll just put her head down and she won't listen to anything. She won't acknowledge anything. I've seen mothers of murdered children and people who've lost family members in Dolton. She'll put her head down and she will not even acknowledge that the person is there because she doesn't like what they're saying.
So after a few months of this, you have residents, you have trustees, you even have the village clerk. They are raising red flags, but now they want to take action.
I'm an attorney, long time.
How many years?
I'm in my 52nd year.
What's your involvement with Dolton?
We were the village attorneys for 12 years. When Tiffany Henyard was elected, we got fired and we were hired by the majority of the trustees as legislative counsel, which means we represent the majority of the board, which means we represent the village of Dolton. After the people got a bit of a taste of the government that they had elected in Tiffany Henyard, residents asked the trustees, what can we do? And the trustees asking us, what can we do? At that point, the only mechanism that we saw was a recall.
But Tiffany wasn't having that.
To all my residents in the village of Dolton, y'all make sure y'all go and vote no to the recall because my work speaks for itself.
Bert, what is a recall?
A recall is a mechanism to allow people of the specific unit of government to take back what they've done. In other words, someone was elected, they're not doing the job that the people think that they should do. They're allowed to go to the ballot and recall them, get them out of office.
I remember somebody asked, Because we were like, why you don't do recall? Because we could see where it was headed.
Where did this idea come from originally? Was it the board or was it a group of residents?
It was both. It was residents working with the board who said, what can we do? We're going down the wrong path. We devised the 2 questions and they both made it to the ballot without challenge.
They made it to the ballot.
Yeah, made it to the ballot. No one challenged it. Made it to the ballot, and the election proceeded.
And I remember the day of the recall, it was hot. Everybody's been in the sun all day. And then the numbers start coming back and we had won it.
The numbers showed almost 2,000 people voted yes for the recall mechanism, and almost 2,000 people, 1,960, voted yes to recall the mayor. 2 questions, both approved.
So a majority of voters support recalling Tiffany Henyard, but it doesn't happen. Why not? It's thrown out by a state appeals court.
They found fault with the wording in the questions. They then, even after knowing what the results were, the court found it was too confusing to be on the ballot, and it didn't have the correct wording, and voided the results of the
So is
election.
the court saying that the voters didn't know what they were?
Yes. Didn't know what they were voting on, basically. Yes.
The people, even back then, did not believe that she was fit for this role. You were recalled. It didn't go through, but you were recalled. And a lot of people seen it back then. But the judge, the systems just did not allow it to happen.
This opinion was absurd. It took away the voice of the people. And look what we have now.
After she won that recall, she felt emboldened. She felt untouchable.
And I just want people to understand, I'm happy. Leave me alone, because I am.
I watched her turn into a monster.
Nothing y'all could do about it. Everything y'all try to do to me, guess what? Failed.
After she won the recall, she put a sign around town saying, I'm your forever mayor, which pissed a lot of people off. And after that, it was all downhill.
You need to address what happened in Vegas, and you have been silent. And that's not going to fly. You know what happened in Vegas. You know what happened.
A lot of people ask me about Las Vegas. Let me take you back to May 2023. Tiffany Henyard takes a group of 13 people on a trip to Vegas for Economic Development Conference. Among the people on that trip, her assistant, Fania Dukes. One night, Fania goes out to have drinks with a village official, and that's when things take a turn.
We in the most dangerous areas at the most dangerous time at night.
If there's a crime scene in Chicago on the west side, south sides, if there's someone grieving, hurting from a shooting,
We are just concerned about the child right about now.
Andrew Holmes is the person who was always there. He's standing there with grieving families. He's holding their hands. He's walking them through the process as they try to talk to media and find out who did this to their loved ones. He was always there. And he also happens to be an elected trustee in the village of Dolton. And according to Fania Dukes, who was the mayor's former assistant, Andrew Holmes assaulted her on that trip in Vegas.
I deemed him the Uncle Drew. Like, I gave him the name, and it went all the way down to the mayor calling him Uncle Drew just regularly. That was just his name, because he made everyone feel comfortable. I've even been in places by myself with him, in cars, wherever, by myself, plenty of times before ever anything. And he's never gave me an inkling.
Hey guys, thank you for still being here for this video. Let me just put up a trigger warning just in case. Okay, I do want to put that up. Okay, and just in case if anything is, any images or content is trigger for you, I just want to make sure you are aware of it. Now, let me just say this. I've been wanting to hear the story as well. I heard about the Vegas trip, but I haven't heard everything. And I'm glad that it's been brought up today. Okay? I'm glad it is being brought up in this video. And like I said, all credit will be down in my description box below for this video. I'll make sure you have the full information. And kudos go out to the young lady, the reporter that's reporting on the story. She is doing a fantastic job on it. So all the information will be down in my description box, okay? Now let's get back to the video.
He'll harm me. He will make a pass at me. He's never done any of that. So yes, I deemed his Uncle Drew because now I feel like if I step out of here and how I know you that you fight for these other people, these other victims and all of that, you have my back. I'm pretty sure I'm safe if I'm with you. And that was the relationship that he allowed me to take from him.
So on the last day of the conference, before everybody heads back to Dolton, there's a big dinner. And then after the dinner, Fania goes out for drinks with Andrew Holmes. What happens after that is detailed in Fania's lawsuit. It accuses Tiffany Henyard of retaliation, and it accuses Andrew Holmes of assault. Here's what the lawsuit says. She started to feel disoriented, blacks out. She woke up the next day in his hotel room. Physically, she was experiencing some discomfort, but she attributed it to her menstrual cycle. She didn't believe Trustee Holmes would have engaged in any inappropriate activity, and she never had any romantic or physical interest in Trustee Holmes. That same evening, Officer Byron Miles received a call from Andrew, who then began describing his exploits from the trip, many of a sexual nature. Officer Miles said Andrew then called him on FaceTime. He said Andrew had his shirt off and appeared to have exerted himself. Andrew then panned the camera toward a bed, and Officer Miles said he could see Fania Dukes in the frame, partially undressed. He says Andrew then moved the camera to various private areas of her body, displaying them on the screen and at times removing or moving articles of clothing. Officer Miles said he couldn't even tell at that stage whether Fania had consented or not, or was even capable of doing so. So after returning to Dolton, Officer Miles then calls Fania and tells her Andrew had unprotected sex with her in Vegas. So there's a meeting the next day where Fania explains what allegedly happened with Trustee Holmes. Tiffany reportedly told Fania that if this information were to get out, she would be ruined. All that she worked for, lost. She told Fania she'd take care of it. Trust her. Days later, Fania was put on unpaid medical leave. She was later fired.
She manipulated that young girl. She saw Fania is a young girl that's full of fight. She's beautiful. She's smart. She's talented. And Tiffany saw an opportunity to use her as a fighter. And then she left her hanging at the worst moment of her life.
Fania looked up to Tiffany, almost like a big sister or an auntie. And remember, Tiffany is the one who brought Fania on that trip with her.
She took me under her wing. It was like mentoring. It was like learning different opportunities. Like I said, she was trying to coach me to let me know that this is the game. Like that's her favorite thing. This is the game. I'm teaching you the game. And I want you to be able to have opportunities that I had because I am the first Black woman mayor of Dolton. And you can be the one taking my seat. Like that was just one of those things that she always wanted. She always wanted to elevate herself and then elevate people under her, which was what she said that she wanted to do.
So when this young lady allegedly gets assaulted on this trip in Vegas by an elected official, she goes to Tiffany, thinking, hoping that she was going to help her. But instead, she gets fired. And she says the entire thing gets swept under the rug. And of course, when residents start learning about Fania's story, they start asking a lot of questions at every board meeting.
To hear what they did to Sister Fania, to see them cover that stuff up, to hear that story.
Andrew Holmes, you're going to answer me. And you're going to answer the Dolton citizens. You work for me. My taxes pay your salary. And you owe me and the other citizens of Dolton a statement.
Residents are outraged, so they turn to a community activist to try and help them get some justice for Fania. So at one of the village board meetings, that activist, he tries to get some answers and ends up getting arrested.
Did you rape that woman? Did you put something in her drink? And damn it, you gonna answer, and you gonna answer me. Promise you that.
Hey, out of order, you out of order, you out of order, hey.
He was charged with a misdemeanor for resisting arrest. The next morning, he was released from jail.
It's an honor. It was an honor, and it is a privilege to have stood at that podium and demand an answer. And I'm gonna tell you, this didn't scare me. I'm only going to get louder. We're gonna get our answer, and we pray that the FBI and the police department of Las Vegas will give us our answer soon, because it's been going on far too long. But Fania, I got your back.
As for Andrew Holmes, he was fired from his job as a crisis responder, but he wasn't fired from his job as a village trustee. He has not been criminally charged and declines to answer any questions about this investigation and about the allegations that Fania has made against him. And as for Fania, she isn't backing down in her fight to get answers, so she came to one of the village board meetings and confronts Andrew herself.
Why would you do that? And if I'm lying, all these people right here on the cameras, all these people, tell them I'm lying then. Is that why you've never said anything? Is that why you disappeared as soon as this came out? Is that why? I'm supposed to be scared of you?
But you also have the trustees, and they want answers. So they vote to bring in someone, a special investigator. Who's that someone? The former mayor of the city of Chicago, also a former federal prosecutor, Lori Lightfoot.
People in this village want something different, want to go in a different direction.
Trustees hired Lori Lightfoot to look into Tiffany's spending habits, how she was using taxpayer dollars, and to find out what happened on that trip to Vegas.
The residents of Dolton deserve nothing less than a government that is fully accountable, responsive, transparent, and effective stewards of your precious tax dollars.
Tiffany tried, though, everything she could to prevent this investigation of her from happening.
You know, it's veto power. So how dare you think you could come in someone's town and start working or doing something, even though we said something stating it's illegal.
Even turning down Lori's mic at a meeting.
Trustee House. Aye. Trustee Holmes.
So Lori comes into one of the board meetings, right? Tiffany does not want to let her speak. So then Lori wants to address residents, and she goes to the mic, and it's suddenly cut off.
What I will say is that it's an honor to be working on behalf of the residents of Dolton. We have not rested while
You was once a mayor too. You should not even be disrespectful like that.
anyone to stop us and obstruct our ability to get to the facts. Even though I turned the mics off, we will continue working. And we will give you the facts.
Okay, y'all done?
Did you catch what Tiffany said? She is trying to shut Lori down at a meeting. She doesn't even want her to speak.
You was once a mayor too. You should not even be disrespectful like that.
But despite Tiffany's best effort, this investigation, it continues.
This has been a challenging investigation, to say the least, because we have not received the level of cooperation from the mayor and her team that I would have hoped.
In front of a large group of residents, she presents her findings. And she basically says Dolton is drowning in debt.
As we mentioned, the general fund is used to account for the majority of the village's day-to-day operations, including payroll and vendor payments. The village's general fund was in a net deficit position.
But that wasn't always the case.
In, I believe it was 2016, Dolton did fail to pay its municipal bond debt. But then after 2016, it cleaned itself up and was actually in very good shape going into the pandemic and going through the pandemic. But now, of course, its financial status has gotten a lot worse.
The village started as of April of 22, with positive of $5.6 million in the general fund, and where we are as of May of 2024, which is a negative $3.65 million.
So at that same meeting, Lori drops another bomb, and it's about the village's 6 credit cards.
We want to highlight a couple of credit card purchases. You're having the same reaction that we did with this song.
Lori says one credit card has more than $40,000 in charges on the same day to Amazon.
The village does not have an Amazon account. These are somebody using one of the credit cards and charging these amounts using your account.
The struggle for transparency in this village government, it is real. But it took Lori stepping in for residents to finally get some truth.
It's a bad place when you have accounts getting frozen. You have over, I think, 10 to 15 FOIA lawsuits, which that's just not turning over information.
While Lori was looking into Dolton's finances and what happened in Vegas, federal officials were also looking into things. We obtained copies of grand jury subpoenas from an attorney very familiar with Dolton. These subpoenas requested financial records, personal records, and disciplinary files from the village and the township.
Investigations take as long as they have to take. Lawyers have to dot every I and cross every T before they do an indictment. That's not the way to preserve financial stability in a community. It's really through state intervention.
The federal authorities, as you may know, are involved in investigating. I've read that. I think that's a public piece of information. There is an investigation that's been called for, and now I know there was a veto that was overridden that will now allow that investigation to go forward with former Mayor Lori Lightfoot in charge of that. I think that those are two pretty good authorities for looking into this, investigating it, and getting to the truth.
I was a little disappointed to see Governor Pritzker's reaction to the situation that, well, you know, we have Lori Lightfoot in there and we have the FBI investigating. That's really not taking responsibility. I mean, in the next few months, if it hasn't happened already, you know, all of Dolton's financial resources could be looted.
The governor wouldn't have said anything if that reporter hadn't called him out that day. Now, that's my belief on that. We don't matter to them. We're small fish. He's going to win the election. Our votes count, but he could win it without our votes.
When people say coming to save us, we just want them to do what they're supposed to do.
This is about wrong. People are saying that the higher ups won't come for her because she's a single woman and a Black woman. She's always playing that female card, a single female. There are plenty of single females, but this is and Black single females. This is about wrong.
And y'all sitting up here beating and attacking on a Black woman that's empowered. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves.
Because you're Black now, you can't be held accountable for other Black people. Majority of Dolton is Black. Black people didn't suffer through Jim Crow to get the right to vote, to get political positions, and to get in here and act like this.
And then every time you would oppose them, she would pull out the thing. Y'all need to leave me alone. I'm a Black woman, a young Black woman, and yada, yada, yada. We got so many strong, dynamic Black women. And for you to use them like that, first it made me sad, then I got pissed off.
It has nothing to do with shaming a Black woman in power, nor shaming the super mayor, as you so infinitely call yourself.
People say, oh, well, white politicians been doing this whole time. That don't make it right. It was wrong when they did it.
I love my people just as much as anyone else, probably too much. But the fact of the matter remains, we have bad people among us, we have good people among us. If we cannot get together to deal with the ones that are really dragging us down, which I consider this administration is doing right now, then we have no hope. If all that person has to say, I'm Black, you can't talk to me about that. That makes no sense to me, none whatsoever. And people that fall for that, to me, they are not paying attention to what's really going on around them.
And I mean, she's doing it openly. This should be a lesson for anyone in politics or anyone who is voting. If A person is put in a position and they can do whatever they want just because they're an elected official. That's scary.
Guys, let me just say this. Each time she say, y'all doing this to a Black woman in power or a Black single woman, it just makes my hair on the back of my neck stand up, or the hair on my head stand up. This woman is a narcissist, plain and simple. She is using her color, her race, and the fact that she's a female as a weapon against the whole town, against Dolton and against Thornton Township as supermayor for Dolton and supervisor for Thornton Township. She is using that as a weapon against them to try to shame them. But shame on her. This woman she don't need to be nowhere near anybody that's going to give her an inch of power. She is worse. I don't want to say it. I don't want to say the name. She is another him. If you can understand what I'm saying. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get back to the video.
So let me ask you this. When is the last time you've been to your community's village board meeting or city council meeting? Over the years, I've covered numerous meetings, but not like Dolton. There is no shortage of people who come to these meetings. And even though Tiffany has tried to use her power to block people from attending these village board meetings, on the day that they're held, they're there. But what they're up against? Barricades, police, blocked streets, but residents still show up. And these village board meetings, they fill up fast. There's limited seating, and while they're going on, you can still hear the people outside. Sometimes they're banging on the doors and windows, trying to get their voices heard.
What do we want? Justice! What do we want? Now! What do we want? Justice! What do we want?
Everyone really wants to be here, and they won't let anything stop them. One of those people, Vivian Allen.
I was diagnosed in November of 2022 because I had a meningioma brain tumor. My brain tumor is like 80% of my brain. They said, if I don't get surgery, I'm going to die. That's exactly what they said. I have 4 brain surgeries. So for me to even be able to just be sitting here talking to you, I'm a walking miracle. If you ask any of my doctors, they will tell you that they're surprised that I can still even talk and that I can still even function as a 45-year-old adult because nobody thought I would live. Every time I go to a meeting, I just get enraged because I just think about the lies that she told.
Sometimes she comes in with a walker, but she is very outspoken.
What about us? What about our fears? What about our tax dollars?
I think about the money that she's taking from us taxpayers. I think about all the family members and friends that live in Dolton. So when I go there, my passion is coming from a place of Dolton. It's coming from a place of, this is where I grew up, and I'm going to come to every meeting. Until she steps down, I'm definitely coming to every meeting. And a lot of people say, stay at home, stay at home. You don't need to be at those meetings. But I do. I'm going to come and say what I got to say, but I'm going to look her in the face every chance I get because Dolton deserves it.
The people who live in Dolton want what we all want. They want to be able to go to the grocery store, different restaurants, not walk down the street and see a bunch of blight and boarded up buildings and storefronts. They just want this community to be all that it can be.
Dolton was thriving. I used to come to Dolton from the city to restaurants. You had the steakhouse, you had the Baker Square. We got nothing. We've lost our restaurants, we've lost stores, things of that nature.
Illinois needs better laws to, empower state agencies to get involved when these kinds of things happen. Without that, we are really reliant on the public. And I've been very impressed with how people in Dolton have stepped up and provided really strong public comments. It's amazing how much research people are doing. I live in California, and I find that when I attend a public meeting, most people are very ignorant. They don't really follow the details of what's going on with the community. And yet here you have a lot of actively engaged citizens. It's very impressive.
We're talking about people who work their jobs, then get off and go to these meetings, mothers and fathers, people using walkers, senior citizens who are determined to get to these meetings. They're using their phones to share information, to broadcast what is happening, to keep others informed. These are some of the most informed people I've ever met.
You got retired people who have their homes, who own their homes, who live here, and they just want peace. I mean, it's no different from any area or any suburb in the South suburbs.
She kicked me out of the house. I can come over here. Right. When we came out here to live, I had visions of, kicking my feet up and getting a belly with the beer and all that. You can't do that. There's just too much stuff going on.
It's so hard to ignore. We got into this fight relatively late, less than a year ago. But there are some people like Sherry Hatcher-Britton, Mary Avant, and Valeria Stubbs, who are bringing to light some of the things Tiffany was doing even before she was appointed township supervisor.
I just started questioning people and talking to people. And then when I started going to the meetings, they started getting more and more hostile.
Hold on, you out of order. If you want to have a little cat fight, you can handle this back there.
You can see Tiffany standing up at the Thornton Township meeting, telling security.
Remove her. Remove her. Remove her.
Dolton is worse than the township because she's deputized the police department there. If you applaud for a public commenter, that's disruptive.
And you were clapping and you got kicked out.
Yes, personally by the police chief.
Do you get worked up at the meetings?
Yeah, it's probably too much. But I don't know, I just care so much about it. I hate bullies. Always have. I hate bullies. And I get impatient with people that let bullies do this to them. I just don't have the patience for that. Why don't you all stand up to this?
I continued this fight because nobody else would help us join this fight. And nobody else saw the impact that she was doing to Dolton. Nobody cared enough to understand what Tiffany Henyard was doing to our city.
There's this big concern about the loss of local newspapers and hyperlocal media. And it seems that social media, YouTube, people posting on X and TikTok, that is really filling the void, especially in the Dolton situation. And you're now seeing it, I think, in other cases of government mismanagement in Cook County. So I think it's very exciting that the cost of being a social commentator and getting your voice out there is really going down. And a lot of people are taking advantage of that.
You've got YouTubers, people on Facebook, TikTok, doing what local newspapers used to do. They are the new crop of journalists focused on hyperlocal issues and dialogue. YouTubers specifically are providing commentary, interviews, and coverage of those village board meetings, and you have people from all over the country consuming this information.
But a lot of people now are united around getting our town back. And me and Kiana were not cool at all. We were not cool at all. We laugh about it to this day. But yeah, so it's uniting a lot of people in Dolton that per se weren't united before. That's the best thing that's coming out of this.
We've made a lot of new friends. That's one of the best things I can say about Tiffany. Her outrageous behavior has spawned a whole people's movement like we've never seen in our lives.
What's the lesson? What's the message here to other small communities, other villages, municipalities?
Well, take some inspiration from the citizens of Dolton who are acting as watchdogs. Look at the finances of your community. Look at how the town board or council is operating, and make sure that your tax money is being used wisely, because in many, many cases in Illinois and elsewhere, it looks like it's not.
Other people are looking at their towns that they weren't looking before. And I say, you could be next. You could be next. Don't think this can't happen to you, because we didn't think it could happen to us. But this should be a sign or warning for people that this could happen to them too.
I think that the people that are in control of this, really, they didn't think that residents from Dolton would go, hey, wait a minute, what are you doing? What is this? And we have to hold everybody accountable, because if we don't do that, we'll stay in this rut. And we just have to make sure whoever is in office, no matter who it is, we are not going to stand for another administration like Tiffany Henyard.
And that is exactly why one of her most vocal critics is running against her.
I'm here to proudly announce my candidacy for mayor of Dolton, February.
But the reality is, another Tiffany Henyard administration isn't entirely off the table. Despite the investigations and the lawsuits, the super mayor is confident she'll be elected again. Just as another embattled political figure did recently, Tiffany's hoping to make her own stunning comeback.
Because guess what? Just like Trump, I'm going to come in on a landslide on both seats. Know that. Remember this moment. When I landslide, they come in for the victory like I always do.
Okay, guys, that was something else. You know that? I don't know what gotten into this, but I do think she needs to never be around any where. Oh, I do want you all to see this part. Let me just show this part here. Okay? Let me just bring it back up for you. Let me just get to it. Just go back a tad bit. Let me see where. Okay, I said right here. Well, I'll just go ahead and play it and let you all just listen, okay?
To you as both personal and in your role as mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you much. You deserve.
Anytime. Appreciate it. I get sued all the time. Y'all stop it.
Okay, guys. That was a lot. That was a lot. She's got a lot of lawsuits that she have to contend with. Hopefully, that keeps her from doing what she's been doing. And hopefully, they get a mayor that's going to do the right thing and help build this Thornton and Dolton back up to where it was before she took office. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. As I said, the before, the information will be down in my description box, and Gabby Rodriguez and Regina Waldroup, I can't hardly say it because of my laryngitis. But anyway, that information will be down in my description box. Guys, thank you for watching the video. And on your way out, can you do one thing? Go ahead and hit the like button for me. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for being here with me, although I'm very, very sick. So my voice is not where it should be, but thank you guys. All right. And I'll continue to bring you more information on Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard. Y'all have a good evening. All right. Bye-bye.